Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio. So today, we need to look at a bunch of new cards that have gone and been revealed officially from Scarlet and Violet 151. That new set that's coming out, that really exciting set that's going to be huge and wonderful, and everybody's going to love it. We've got some new cards that have been revealed that we need to talk about, and I, for one, am very, very happy indeed. Good. So let's start off saying not goodbye, but hello to Butterfree. Because, and I need to say, look at the attack name. It's got Bye-Bye Flight in the attack name. I mean, come on. For those of you that don't get it, and if you're a slightly younger Pokemon fan or a newer Pokemon fan, you might not. The episode Bye-Bye Butterfree broke all of our hearts many years ago when it first aired. So, Bye-Bye Flight is clearly a reference to that, and, yeah, it broke all of our hearts, ladies and gentlemen. They did recreate it in one of the movies a little while back, I should say. So we have got Butterfree coming. We've also got Caterpie and Metapod. Now, Caterpie is single energy, 10 damage. If your opponent's active Pokemon is grass, it does 30 more. I adore the fact that it's called Leaf Munch and it does extra damage to grass Pokemon. I think this is fantastic and brilliant. I don't actually think it's a good attack, but I just thematically I think it's wonderful. As for Metapod, we got single energy 20 or 2 energy flip a coin if heads during your opponent's next turn. Prevent all damage done to this Pokemon by attacks. I mean, look, if you flip heads, it'll buy you a turn to get set up, and that's cool, but that is, I think, the best we can do. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. But then we get to Butterfree, and I like this Butterfree. It's a good Butterfree, but it is a stage 2, and that's a problem. 130 HP is very low. That's a bad thing. But then again, free retreat is good. That's a good thing. We like free retreat. Free retreat makes us happy. But what does it actually do? Well, for a single energy, you deal 60 damage and you switch out your opponent's active Pokemon to the bench. Very important to note that your opponent makes a decision as to which one goes to the bench, not you. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. And then for 2 energy, choose one of your opponent's bench Pokemon, shuffle that Pokemon and all cards attached to it into their deck. Then shuffle this Pokemon and all cards attached to it into your deck. I actually really like this for kind of gusting up one of your opponent's bench Pokemon that they don't really need, a support Pokemon or whatever, and then getting rid of their main attacker. It's way too awkward to use on a stage 2, let's be clear, but it's kind of fun nonetheless. But Beedrill I legitimately love. Beedrill I think is fantastic. Now, Weedle, single energy 10, 2 energy 20. It's a happy looking Weedle. That's the best I can say about it. Kakuna, 2 energy 20, nobody cares. But the ability Cocoon Cover prevents all effects of attacks used by your opponent's Pokemon done to this Pokemon. Cool. Now remember, damage isn't an effect, and it does literally say this on the card very super clearly. So let's not get too excited about that. But the fact of the matter is, special conditions or damage counters, things along those lines. And to be fair, right, given that one of the bane of evolving decks right now is Sableye, who will just drop a bunch of damage counters and KO all your evolving Pokemon, being able to go up into a Metapod so your opponent cannot drop damage counters with something like a Sableye, that is actually a pretty big deal. So yeah. It's actually a nice bonus. Like, it's not a reason to play Beedrill or anything stupid like that, but it is a nice little bonus being able to get that protection from stuff like Sableye. So yay! But the reason to play it is the Beedrill. No heart-wrenching reference to an episode of the anime we watched as kids, but 2 good attacks. 2 energy, 110. I mean, look, no one's getting excited about this. It's fine if you're hitting for weakness. It'll KO weak Pokemon V. But 2 colorless energy, 30 damage. If you have no cards in your hand, this attack does 120 more damage, plus paralysis, plus poison. Oh yeah, no, now here I'm in. Here I'm loving this, ladies and gentlemen. I am getting very, very excited about this. Because, I mean, look, 150 is decent. You're not getting any KOs, really, on multiple prize Pokemon unless they're weak, but it's still a decent amount of damage for a single prize Pokemon. But then you've got Poison, which is going to be building up between turns or during Pokemon checkup, and paralysis, so your opponent has to switch out of the active in order to do anything next turn, and now I'm liking this a lot more. Yes, I know you've got to have a 0-card hand to pull this off, but do remember that in Pokemon Go, we actually got the perfect partner for this. It's Radiant Venusaur. At the end of your turn, you may draw until you've got 4 cards in your hand. Well, I mean, if you're operating with a deck that wants 0 cards in your hand, I mean, I don't know about you, ladies and gentlemen, this seems like the kind of thing that might be really, really good. And of course, let's not forget, we've also got ourselves a Hisuian Arcanine, that if you've got 0 cards in your hand, for 0 energy, does 160 damage, and hits a different weakness in fighting. And bearing in mind, right, if you're playing Beedrill, then you're trying to get a 0-card hand anyway. So playing like a 2-2 Arcanine line, that's like 4 cards. It's nothing. It's really, really, really easy. And it's one which I think is going to be pretty gosh darn good. And worth noting that we've got the Veluza from Paldea Evolved that is a basic Pokemon that if you got no cards in your hand can do 120 for a single water energy. You can actually start building up a deck here filled with essentially very cheap or 0 energy attackers, just as long as you keep getting rid of your hand. And bearing in mind, Beedrill's colourless energy, Veluza's just 1 energy, Arcanine's none. It's not like your energy is getting super duper annoying here. I'm not saying this is gonna be a good deck, but I'm definitely saying I'm gonna be testing it, and I'm gonna be testing it hard, because this is my kind of fun gimmicky deck, honestly. I like this. Now, we've also gone and been shown a Pidgeot line. And look, here's what makes me sad. You know by now that Pokemon 151, Scarlet Violet 151, what they're doing is giving us a complete evolution line drawn by the same artist. This is drawn by Kato. Kato is, in my humble opinion, a super proper job, top tier Pokemon TCG artist. One of my absolute favourites. I adore the artwork on these cards. But whereas up till now I've been able to give you decent competitive reasons to take advantage of these cards, there's nothing here. These cards aren't good. They're actually pretty terrible. Pidgey's cool for family, searching for 2 basic might be the best among them. Because Pidgeot, right, 130 HP, not good on a stage 2. We do like the free retreat, don't get me wrong. But, like, the best thing about it is free energy, 150, flip a coin if Tails' attack does nothing. If heads during your opponent's next turn, prevent all damage from and effects of attacks done to this Pokemon. It's basically invincible. If you can flip heads. Well, you can't rely on flipping heads now, can you? And if you flip Tails, it's free energy on a stage 2 to do nothing. You can't actually use this attack. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry. But Rattata and Raticate are cards I absolutely adore. Now, the reveal did make a great reference to youngster Joey, which made me very, very, very happy. But we've got Rattata and Raticate here, which I love it. I absolutely love it. Now, the Rattata here is actually in the top percentage of all Rattata. Now, I do need to mention there was the one in Evolutions which had the really nice ability Mischievous Fang, that when you played it from your hand onto your bench, let you discard all the tools from your opponent's active Pokemon. That was like a legit Rattata which saw play just as a Rattata. So that one was actually really good. Sorry about that. But yeah, this is in the top percentage of all Rattata. Now, for 2 energy, 20 damage, plus 10 more for each damage counter on your opponent's active Pokemon. So, of course, what you do here is you find a you do a bunch of damage, and then all of a sudden, Rattata comes in and actually finishes them off, like, really nicely, which is brilliant. Like, it's legitimately a good attack. And there will be plenty of time, let's say you've got something like a Gardevoir, for instance. Well, if Gardevoir's got 150 damage on, Rattata will come in and deal 170, which puts him up to 320 in total, which is enough for a KO. So, you don't need to do that much damage before Rattata actually becomes like a legitimate attacker, which is wild to me. It can come in and finish off these giant Pokemon, as long as you've like half KO'd them or almost half KO'd them. In comes Rattata to wreck them. But then you've got Raticate, free retreat, yay! And for 2 energy, you do 30 damage plus 30 more for each damage counter on your opponent's active Pokemon. So this adds up like super duper duper quickly. Like if you do 70 damage to something, let's say you do 70 damage to a Gardevoir, well, all of a sudden, Raticate comes in and does 240, because it's basically 8 times 3, 7 for the damage counters plus the 1 base. That's the 240 plus the 70 already on is 310, and that's a KO. So if Gardevoir's got 70 damage on, Raticate comes and KOs. Like, that's ridiculous, ladies and gentlemen. Absolutely ridiculous. So, yeah. I think these could be genuinely brilliant. You got to point out that the HP here is absolute garbage. 30 on Rattata, 70 on Raticate. I've already mentioned Sableye already. Sableye will love playing against stuff like this. But if you can dodge and weave around stuff like that, this is legitimately really good. Right, there we go, ladies and gentlemen. That's what you need to know, and now it's over to you guys. Tell me what you think about this. Tell me how excited you are. Go nuts in the comment section, but be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi. That's where we talk about Pokemon and card games and Pokemon card games, all kinds of fun things. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all kinds of fun things. Oh, and get shoutouts on the channel, like the lovely Dark1313, who's been a supporter of ours for a while now and is a very lovely person. So shout out to them for all the support and the loveliness. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.